Hi, I'm David Sloan. You know, your lawnmower won't cut very well unless the blades are sharp. And depending on the size of your lawn and how much grass you have to cut, you may have to sharpen them once, twice, even 3 times a season. It's easy to do it yourself. I'll show you how. Safety is important when you work on a lawnmower. First thing to do is to drain the gas out of your tank, or let the mower run until it stops. That way the gas will be empty. But just to be safe and make sure there's no chance the mower can start accidentally, I like to take out the spark plug too. You'll have to look around the outside of your mower to find the spark plug. On this mower, it's on the back. It's this white thing with a wire sticking out. Could be on the front, could be on the side, could even be covered by something. First thing to do is grab this wire and just pull it off. Then get a socket wrench with a spark plug adapter and take that spark plug right out of there. With the spark plug removed, there's no chance the engine can accidentally start. Now that the spark plug's out, the next thing to do is to turn the mower over on its side so you can get at the blade. Oh my, look at all that grass that's stuck on the bottom of the deck there. That's what makes lawnmowers rust, but we'll deal with that later. As you can see, this blade is held on by 3 bolts. 1, 2, 3. Your lawnmower may have a slightly different arrangement, but you have to take the bolts out to get the blade off so you can sharpen it. First thing to do is to get yourself a piece of wood and stop the blade from turning when you put some pressure on it with a wrench. This is just a 2x4. A piece of firewood would work. You just have to jam it in there so that the blade can't turn. Get yourself a socket wrench that fits one of these bolts and take it off. Now this lawnmower here has another nut in the back here, and I need another box or open end wrench to hold that one while I loosen the front wrench with a socket. Okay, that takes care of the first bolt. Now we'll get the other one. All right, now the blade's out, and we can take it into the workshop and sharpen it. I'll show you 3 ways to sharpen a blade. The low-tech solution is to use a regular old metal file. I've got the blade in a vise to hold it, and what you want to do is just take the file and approximate the same angle that the blade has to begin with here. Start to file. File only cuts on the forward stroke, so you don't need to go back and forth. And after a couple minutes of this, you'll find that your edge will be nice and sharp. Another way to sharpen the blade is with an electric drill and a blade sharpening attachment. You can buy these blade sharpening attachments in the lawnmower section of the home center. It's just an abrasive wheel with the right angles to sharpen the blade and a plastic shield to keep it in place. Again, with the blade clamped in a vise, you just place the blade sharpening attachment on the edge and turn the drill on. That's all it takes to sharpen the blade. But if you happen to have one, the fastest and most efficient way to sharpen your blade is with a bench grinder. First thing to do is just take a straight pass along the edge here to take out some of the worst nicks. 1, 2, sometimes 3 will do it. That took out most of the nicks. Now, I'm going to, using my finger to support the edge of the blade, I'm going to rest it against the wheel here to get the right angle, and then draw it across. Those sparks don't burn when they hit you, but if you're worried about it, you can wear a pair of gloves. Now I'm going to turn the blade over and see if I've got the right angle. And this looks really good. That side's done. Now I'm going to flip the blade over and do the other side. Now that the blade's sharp, there's just one more step, and that's to balance the blade. If one end is much heavier than the other, it's going to set up a vibration in the mower that will actually tear the mower apart eventually. I got this little balancing gadget in the package with the electric blade sharpening thing for my electric drill. It's just a piece of plastic on a little cone-shaped thing. What you do is you take the hole in the blade, set it on top of the balancing gadget, and let it go. And if one end is heavier than the other one, that end will drop. This one's pretty good. Both ends are pretty well balanced. Now, if one end goes down much more than the other one, what you do is grind a little bit more metal off the heavy side so that the blade balances. Now, if you don't have one of these balancing gadgets, the low-tech solution is just to put a big nail on the side of your vise and put the blade on the nail, and the heavy end will fall to the bottom. In this case, there is no heavy end, so we're done. All that's left is for us to put the blade back on the mower. Before we put the blade back on, let's scrape off some of this loose grass that's stuck to the bottom of the mower. That's the main reason that mowers rust out. I'll just scrape it off with a putty knife. I've gotten just about as much grass off as I can with a putty knife. Now I'm going to switch to a wire brush to get the rest of it. The oil in the lawnmower should be changed once a year. So while I have the blade off, it's a good time to drain out the old oil and replace it. I'm going to remove the drain plug right here that drains the crankcase, and I'm going to turn the lawnmower right side up over this oil drain pan, which you can get at any auto store. The trick is to turn the mower over quickly so the oil doesn't spill out on the ground. Now we'll just let that drain for about 15 minutes until all the oil's out, and then we'll put the new oil in. I've drained out the old oil and replaced the drain plug. Now I'm going to do something that an old farmer neighbor of mine told me: to paint the bottom of the deck with the used motor oil. It really protects it from rusting and it keeps the grass from sticking. So I've got a cheap disposable paintbrush here. I'm just going to spread this old motor oil all over the bottom of the deck. Now that the bottom's coated, we're ready to put the blade back on. Make sure that the cutting edge faces the bottom. It's easy to put the blade on upside down. So first I'm going to put in the center bolt and tighten it up. Next I'll put in the other two bolts. First the bolt, then a lock washer on the back, and then the nut. I'll hold the back nut with my box end wrench and tighten it up. And finally, I'll put the last one in place. Bolt, lock washer, and a nut on the back. And just to make sure everything's really tight, I'll put my piece of wood back in there so the blade can't turn. Now that's really tight and the blade is installed. That about does it. All I need to do now is put the spark plug back in and refill the motor oil according to the instructions in the owner's manual. And then put some gas in it and we're good to go.